All right, on the podcast today, we have new Kabuki owner, Rich Galgano. Rich, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. Looking forward to hearing what you have to say. Just as a starter, let's get to know you a little bit. Can you go over maybe a brief outline of your career, anything else we should know about you, and then ultimately maybe what led you to Kabuki?
Sure, absolutely. And thank you for having me. Really looking forward to setting the record straight from what's been put out there in social media. Sure, I'm a lifelong entrepreneur. I started a business in 1994 at the age of 25 called Windy City Wire. Prior to Windy City Wire, I'd spent 5 years in the wire and cable business prior to me starting that business. And in those 5 years, I became a compulsive gambler, and to the grace of God, was able to walk into a Gamblers Anonymous meeting at the age of 24, which saved my life. So I always tell people between the ages of 20 and 24, I've probably lived more than in those 4 years than people live in an eternity. I started Windy City Wire in 1994, and over the course of 25 years grew that business to become probably the not only one of the best wire and cable companies in the world, but one of the best American manufacturing companies in the United States. When you look at any financial metric that the business is based on, it's just a tremendous business. I sold the business in 2000 for almost $500 million to a company, a publicly traded company out of the United Kingdom called Diploma PLC. And I still am the acting CEO of the company, run the day-to-day operations, have a great team, loyal employees, wonderful employees, and it's been a great ride. And even prior to me selling the business, I have been an active investor and mentor to young budding entrepreneurs. So that's my background.
Interesting. I didn't know you were still active CEO. So what does your day-to-day look like?
Oh my God, my day-to-day, my wife would kill me. I'm up early, so in addition to being the CEO of Windy City Wire, we have a family investment office. Me and my son Jacob operate that, and we've got, I believe, 9 other businesses that we are involved in, some actively, some passive. Really great diversified portfolio. We have everything from commercial real estate to satellite company businesses in the satellite space, video analytics, companies that manufacture door systems for storage units. We have a digital marketing brand business. We have all kinds of wonderful businesses and wonderful people that help us with those businesses. So it's quite a day, and it's a lot for me and Jake to handle, but we do it. And like I said, I have a great team at Windy City Wire, and they help me manage that business today.
Okay. When did you decide to start investing? Was that after you sold most of your company?
No, I've been investing in businesses for a little bit of time. Really became active after we sold the company. When my eldest son graduated Villanova University, he went out west and spent some time working. Some investors at Windy City Wire have a tremendous, wonderful private equity firm, Seidler Equity Partners, and it's now Seidler and Katsenda Partners. And Jake went out there and worked for quite a while, cut his teeth, and came back, and we put him to work. And so most of the investments have been post the sale, but we've been investing in businesses either side by side with equity groups or on our own.
Awesome. Let's get into the Kabuki investing then. So when did you first hear about Kabuki, and what was your first involvement with Kabuki, I should say?
I hired a ghostwriter, Derek Lewis, to help me finish a memoir that I've been working on for 3.5 years. And I don't know if anybody's ever written a book. It's the hardest thing you can do in your life, harder than growing a $500 million business, if you can believe that. And I was struggling with the book, so I reached out and found a writer, and he had mentioned to me that he had a client that was looking for some investments, and he knew that I had made investments. I never knew who Kabuki Strength was. I did not know who Chris Duffin was. Didn't know who Rudy Caleb was. So Derek made the introduction, and I had a few phone conversations with Chris in I think March of probably 2024. Or 23. I'm sorry. So about a year and a half ago. And that's when it started. And me and my son flew out to Clackamas, Oregon, I believe in April. And we sat down with the team and looked at the financials, looked at the balance sheet, knew they were in trouble. But they sold us a pretty good story on, hey, this is what's happening. When we first went out to Clackamas, they had over $400,000 in shipments that they received payment for that they couldn't ship the product. They had no money. So what they had done is they had taken money from consumers, and that's how the business had been funded. They would take pre-orders, use that money to fund the business. Hopefully they had enough money to build those bars, sell those bars, and then do another pre-sale. And they would continually, so when people would go online and you look 12 weeks, 20 weeks, am I getting my bar? That's how the business was funded. So I've got a background in manufacturing, customer service. So I was under the belief that, okay, if these guys are selling $3.5–4 million with horrible service, if they have inventory, they should be able to triple the business. I was told that, hey, if we're losing so much business because we don't have inventory and people are going down the street. Okay, fine. You know what? We'll extend you a line of credit we gave them a line of credit for $2 million. Okay, $2 million line of credit. That's what they told us they needed. But like any bank, you need to secure that loan with collateral. So they had no personal collateral. There were no personal guarantees. So they pledged the assets of the businesses that collateral, meaning their IP, their website, all of their digital content, the patents, trademarks, anything that they had been working on, developing, all the intellectual property. So because that loan had to be backed by something. So where we comped and the inventory, receivables, all of the assets of the business, not any of the liabilities. So that line of credit was also backed by, or was given with the intention that we would be able to invest in the company, meaning buy stock in the company at a $10 million EV valuation of the business when certain parameters were hit. I believe they had hit $1 million of top line revenue with, I think, $300,000 or $350,000 of EBITDA, which they never came close to doing. So by the end of August, they had burned almost $1.4 million of the cash. $1.4 million. Their cash burn was $300,000 a month.
August of 2023.
24. 23. We're in 24 now. 23. Okay. So in 4.5 months, 5 months, they burned $1.4 million cash, gone, tapped out on the line. So we just didn't write them a check for giving $2 million. We had a line of credit established, and when they would need draws, they would request the draw, and then we would send them the money. So by first week in October, we knew the shit was hitting the fan. We tried to have multiple conversations. We did. And we were explaining, guys, you have a severe revenue problem. They were doing, give you an idea, they were doing $300,000 a month of revenue, 300, 350. And the only way they were selling these products were heavily discounted, 15, 20%. And their margins weren't that good to begin with. So they had low margins, discounted products, just bleeding money, burning, losing 150 a month, 200 a month, 250,000, 250, losing that a month. They were oblivious. They were oblivious to the situation. Now, maybe they thought that I would just continue supporting them, writing checks. I don't know what they were thinking. Come November, end of October, they were done. They were tapped out. Line was done. We sent them a notification that said, guys, you are now maxed out on your line. That means you need to sustain the business with your working capital, meaning your inventory and your cash on hand. November 1st, and I left, I think Halloween, I left October 31st of last year. I had to go to Europe for business. So I was on my way to Europe, and we were not getting financials. We were not getting things that we needed. We were very, very concerned, very concerned. So I drafted a letter from Europe, basically saying, as the fiduciary of my family's investment, I'm the fiduciary. I have a responsibility for putting you guys on notice that there's no more money. Provide us a plan. I wanted a plan in 2 days. It took them 2 weeks to give me a plan. I want a plan that understands what you're going to do. Okay. We were presented a plan 2 weeks later that said, next month we're releasing the Transformer X. We're going to make significant cuts. Okay. That was last December. Guys, when did the Transformer X come out?
Earlier this month, right?
Yeah. I mean, come on. Right. So Transformer X in December. I mean, I've got the receipts. I've got the receipts all right here. So it was just unbelievable. The lack of self-awareness, the lack of situational awareness, the lack of their financial situation. So they had a big sale. I think they sold $600,000 over Black Friday. So they got some cash in. So they had some cash to sustain them. Come February, I'm going to go back a little bit. I think it was the middle of November. Rudy, who was the acting CEO at the time, said, we're going to need more money. I said, well, you ain't getting any money from the Galganos. No more money from us. So they went out and they asked us, well, because our loan agreement says you cannot get any other loans unless we give you the approval. They asked if they could go out and get some loans. And we said, do you want to get loans? So as long as that the debtor knows they're behind us and they're unsecured, I don't give a shit what you do. Okay. They went out and took 2 loans out for another $400,000. That money was gone by February. I think they got the money in January. It was gone. February. I have to look at my notes. We officially put them on notice last March that they were in default of our loan. No interest payments were made. We were not given any financials. They violated many covenants of the loan agreement. And it was really simple. Guys, let's do this nice and easy. Okay. You sign over the assets like you agreed to in the collateralized debt agreement, or we're going to take you to bankruptcy court. And we're going to get them in bankruptcy court, and you have no money to go to bankruptcy court. And that's really what happened. I asked that Rudy resign. I demanded that Rudy resigned. He was the acting CEO through the cash burn. We kept Chris on as active CEO. We put him in at a $200,000 yearly salary, and him and Rudy were not taking any money out of the business. So it's not like prior to us making the investment, these guys were robbing the business blind. They were not. They were just burning money in other ways. There was nothing fraudulent going on. It was just very poor mismanagement. Believe me, they were not paying themselves a dime. We asked Chris to become CEO. Immediately, we put him on a $200,000 a year salary. We agreed, me and my son agreed, that we would put in another $1 million into the business. That's all we were going to pledge, another $1 million. And we had already spent $150,000 on legal fees in 2 weeks, just getting this asset shit resolved. Okay. Unnecessarily. But we did. So we had no inventory or very limited inventory. They had taken out a Shopify loan for $200,000. And so Shopify, people ask, why'd you change the name of the company? Well, Shopify owned, I'm sorry,
All right.
Shopify owned the Kabuki strength domain. They own the website. And either I write them a check for $200,000 or we don't have a website. Well, that would have been our working capital. So we elected, and they had signed personal guarantees on that Shopify account. I believe they had. At least Rudy did. And there was no way I was bailing them out on that Shopify loan. No fucking way. Pardon my French. So we owned the URL, but we did not own the website. So we had to build a new website. The website needed to be built anyways. The Kabuki Strength website was just horrible. So we changed it to Kabuki Power. We forwarded the URL. So as that was being done, we had to stock up on inventory. They had so little in inventory. They had some WIP in progress. So we built up the inventory. Because the one thing that I learned, you've got to take care of your customers. So what we did is we cleared out, they still had a lot of backlog as well. We cleared out all the customer backlog immediately, as fast as we could, make those customers happy, which, by the way, they had already paid for those orders. So in essence, that was another bailout. We took care of those customers, and then we shipped 98 ongoing. We shipped 98% of our orders same day from inventory. Transformers, Cadillacs, trap bars, Duffalo bars. Okay. Issue was we're not selling enough. And Chris is the acting CEO of the company. Not once did he pick up the phone to call me at the end of a month and say, hey, boss, how did we do this month? How much money did we make? How much money did we lose? He was totally disconnected from the day-to-day of the operation. We were supposed to have that Transformer X. We were supposed to have heat shrink running. We were supposed to produce low-cost barbells on machine. Nothing that was promised was delivered. Getting that Transformer X done was like pulling teeth. Meantime, we are we're losing $200,000 a month. Okay. I'm in Chicago. I'm not going to Clackamas, Oregon. I got other businesses I don't run $3 million companies. I'm sorry. It's not what I do. Okay. We're trying to see if we can salvage a business. What I do is I think I hire the best and the brightest to run these businesses and build wealth for them, build wealth for the employees, create a great place for people to work, and then we benefit as shareholders. This was not the case. The employees were great. They worked really hard. They built great product. But at the end of the day, this business, because of the infrastructure and what was insisted was needed to run this business, which it wasn't, but we capitulated. We allowed it. He's the acting CEO. He gets his people. He gets to do what he wants. We're losing $200,000 a month. We're selling $150,000, $200,000 a month in barbells. We were not selling enough. We needed to sell 40 bars a day to break even. That's Transformers, Trap, Cadillac, not even close. We were lucky we were selling 5 or 6 bars a day. I want you to put that in perspective. There was no sense of urgency. There was no situational awareness. I don't know if they were oblivious. Now, the funny thing was the guys producing the product, the guys working the warehouse, they knew what was going on. They're like, oh my God, we're building all this inventory and nothing's going out the door. Nothing's moving, nothing's selling. So at this point, I don't know, is the brand tarnished? Is Chris tarnished? What is the problem here? Because there is no market for what we think is the greatest barbell on earth. So this happens June, first month open. Okay, fine. July is atrocious. August is atrocious. Now, mind you, we're fully functioning. We should have had skeleton crews running in April and May. We didn't. We have that full-blown staff. I don't know what got done. Transformer didn't get done. My heat treat machine didn't get done. The Oregon, none of these bars got done. Nothing that was promised got done in this time frame. So I'm getting just more and more disillusioned with what's going on. And then it takes probably mid-July, I'm come to the realization that no single bar is going to save this business. The overhead's too high. I don't have a functioning CEO. I got to make a decision. So the decision was we got to shut down Clackamas. I have a business in South Carolina. We're going to move everything we can, all the inventory, all the items to South Carolina. We have a distribution center and see what we can do. Get out from all the overhead and see how we can produce these bars at the most competitive price we can and service the market. So that's really where we're at today. I mean, is this business in flux? No, it's not in flux. I mean, I've got trap bars. We have Cadillac bars. We have some PR deadlift bars. Got shoulder rocks. And the ironic thing too, when we moved to South Carolina, 3 days once we get there, Helene hit. So we were dealing with floods. We had employees that couldn't come to work. We had $100,000 worth of damage to our office from the leak roofing and flooding. So it was we dealt with a lot for a week. Plus FedEx couldn't get in there. The roads were down with trees, so we had difficulty shipping product. So it's been quite the 5 months. So me, I've seen it all in business. Great learning experience for my son, and so here we are today, and we think we have a good path moving forward, and what we're going to do. Hopefully that, in a nutshell, sort of gives you the 10,000-foot overview.
Yeah, that was a lot of information. I think that was closer to the ground than a 10,000-foot overview. Very, very, very interesting. You mentioned, I'm hoping to set the record straight at the beginning of this interview. And yeah, you really went into the story. I'd be curious to hear how many employees were there a year ago, and what does that look like now, and what's the operation look like today?
Okay, well, right now there is one employee.
Okay.
The employees from my other business that we're invested in, they are picking up the slack. They are shipping the inventory. They are handling all the items, and they're doing it flawlessly. On the manufacturing front, I don't know if we, meaning me and my son, are going to stay in the barbell business, specialty bar business. That doesn't mean these bars are not going to be made. They're not going to be made. They might be made by me. We have we have the manufacturing equipment necessary. If I cannot make these bars and make them and make a market for them, right? To me, the market is spoken. I don't know if there's a market for Kabuki. I don't. Why weren't we selling $500,000 of bars a month? Why weren't we selling $1 million a bar a month? So I'm a big believer that markets speak, right? If you think your house is worth $600,000, but you get 10 offers at $400,000, you know what your house is worth? It's worth $400,000. So I'm not certain I know if there is a want and a need at a big enough level for these bars. So I'll give you an example. The PR deadlift bar. It's a great bar, right? It gets rave reviews. People ping me on the Shopify app. Hey, I love the deadlift bar. I love the deadlift bar. Okay. We sell maybe 40 deadlift bars a month, maybe 40. Okay. Good month, maybe 60. Now, it's made with 27 millimeter steel. When we order that steel, we have to order enough steel to produce 8 100 bars. There's minimum order quantities. Why in God's name would I order material and have to produce 800 bars or have material for 800 bars when I'm selling 40 to 60 a month? That's a year's supply. You just, as a business, you will go bankrupt if you don't turn your inventory. So that's a big problem. These bars will be made. I don't know if they will be made by Rich Galgano and Kabuki Power, or if they're going to be made by somebody else. But what I will tell you is this product will be produced by us. And this is actually the first time anybody's seeing this. This is what we call the snap bar. It fits in our pad. I'm sure this is we'll call this the squat saddle. And this is what we call the snap bar. This will fit on almost any straight bar. This is the prototype we have here. There are going to be clamps. This will secure to any straight bar. You put in our squat saddle, and now you can convert any straight bar into a safety squat bar. So we're going to keep the shoulder rock, and we're going to keep a handful of other products. And those are going to be moving to a new company. And Jake, I think you'll like the name of this business that we've just getting off the ground. It's called Take Over Strength.
Okay.
All the trolls online gave me and my son some inspiration. So it's a double entendre. Take over your squat, take over your shoulder, take over your health, take over your strength. And we're going to be moving a lot of the assets out of Kabuki Power into this new entity. Our goal with that entity is to sell more affordable products that are in the reach of people and products that really can make a difference to everybody. Not just someone that can afford an $800 or $900 bar. So it's a great question. And I don't know the answer yet. What's going to happen with these bars? They will be made. Right now we do have a implied license with Rogue. Rogue is producing the Cadillac bar. Rogue is producing the Transformer bars. The quality is impeccable.
Yeah.
Their service is very good. And, I would encourage everybody, buy them from Kabuki Power. We have them in stock. But if we don't have them, or you don't want to support me and you want those bars, buy them from Rogue. Rogue has been nothing but good to us. And I look forward to a continued long-term relationship with.
Yeah, got it. So that is quite the pivot in terms of focusing on more affordable products geared to maybe the mass culture. Yeah. I'd be curious to, like, you mentioned, like, obviously you want to recoup much of your loan and your time you've spent, but it sounds like you're, like, truly going to invest your time and continue to invest resources into, both of these. It sounds like, at least to some extent, as opposed to just giving up. I'd be curious to hear, like, why are you going to continue to move into this direction as opposed to, like, just trying to sell it for whatever you could sell it for?
All right. So back to my wire days. Wire is a commodity. Okay. I never pulled a stitch of wire in my life. I've never been an electrician. Okay. Yet somehow I designed and patented the most practical and simple method of dispensing wire and cable in the world. It's called the Rack Pack. That product was invented in 2007. That product propelled the company from, at that point, a $80 or $90 million valuation to a $500 million. Today, the company's well in the $1 billion range worth of value. A simple box. 3 weeks ago, when we have a really nice gym at the office, and We were playing around with the squat saddle. That's the pad that comes on the Transformer X. And we have a harness kit or a harness that makes you allowed to do belt squats and good mornings. And there's some straps. And the straps you put around the straight bar and you run it through. I'll show you. You run it through these crevices, okay? And your straight bar comes across here, and you've got these straps, and that turns your bar sort of into a safety squat bar. And Emily, our on-staff fitness instructor, certified trainer, she's like, yeah, I like this, but I don't know if it's stable enough. I don't know. I don't know if I love it, Rich. It's okay. She goes, I really like this. I love the pad. I love what it does. I love how it feels. So I'm thinking to myself, not stable enough. So I grabbed a transformer. I walked the transformer to our plant. We got a 240,000 square foot manufacturing plant. We've got a metal fab shop in there. And actually, the guy that runs the shop, I grew up with him, and we were neighbors. And from the time we were 2 years old, his name's Paul. I'm like, Paul, let's get to work. And in 45 minutes, we built this bar. This is the bar we built 3 weeks ago. Okay. That day we put it in the pad, put it on a straight bar. We probably had 15 people test it out. And the reaction was, oh my God. I had just what I'd done with this cardboard box. Okay. What I'd done with a box for wire. We are now going to do for straight bars for people that don't have the shoulder look, I can't squat. I don't have the shoulder mobility. Okay. I'm 56 years old. I don't want to put a heavy bar on my neck at my age. This has totally transformed my ability to feel safe, secure, comfortable doing squats. So I don't know if I didn't create this bar 3 weeks ago, and by the way, 2 days later, it was in the attorney's hands. We had drawings. 4 days, we had a patent filed on it, provisional patent. That's how fast I move. Because I know when I see something, and I saw something. So from there, it was okay. We've got something here. Right now we're going to sell through Kabuki Power. Today, as a matter of fact, we are selling the pad. We're selling the harnesses, and we're selling the straps. I'm just waiting on the price for this bar and the final decision on the clamping system. Then once that's done, we're going to pre-sell these bars, and I'm hoping, I'm not going to promise yet, but we're hoping that we can get Christmas shipments on these. We're really trying to see how many we can produce, because we did make a handful and we sent them out to some gyms, and the reaction has been, one of the gym owners said, you're bridging the gap. You're bridging the gap between a safety squat and a straight bar. I don't have to have this big, bulky safety squat bar in my gym. I can do this for half the price. Plus, I have a pad that allows me to do other things. So we're bridging the gap with the snap, or we say, like, in a snap, transform your bar. So that has totally changed my perception on what we can do with just one product. And there's some other things we want to do with this takeoverstrength.com business. And we're excited about it. And one thing I know how to do is I know how to ship, I know how to inventory, and I know how to service customers.
Gotcha. Well, let me ask you this then. So I think the Kabuki brand in the past, especially maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, is well known for like innovation. They really were one of the companies that brought along this specialty bar movement. Personally, like the Kabuki Transformer bar is like my favorite bar I've ever owned, really. So I am a big fan of it. I think it is tough at the price point for like the most of the world, or most your average home gym owner. But that said, you mentioned like you really don't know like what the next couple of years are going to look like, kind of in, brainstorm mode. But what about like the brand? Where would you like the brand to be in maybe 5 years or so? Or what do you want people to think about? Or how do you want people to think about your brands within this community?
Let's go back to the Kabuki brands. So Cadillac, Open Trap Bar, Deadlift Bar, and Transformer. Whether it's Rich Galgano producing these bars or somebody else, I would love one. If I produce them, they're going to be produced in the United States. I don't believe in offshoring product. It's just something I'm adamantly against, especially China. If it's Taiwan or Vietnam, I can stomach. So I can stomach those a little bit more, but I'm a firm believer in manufacturing here in the United States, producing in the United States, whether it's Rich Galgano or somebody else, these bars will be made and will be offered to the public under the same specs, the same stringent requirements. I would love to see over the next 12 months, I'd love to see the price come down on these bars. That would ultimately be my goal, right? To drive the price, not drive the price down, but make the bars more affordable, either through more effective manufacturing. We don't know yet we know South Carolina is going to lower our price at some point. There are plenty of metal fab shops. We have machinery. So I don't know where I want to see that brand or those products survive. Am I going to be able to come up with barbell ideas? No. But I am speaking to people in the industry every day who have great ideas. Now, whether I'm the conduit that bring those ideas to market or not, I don't know yet. It is amazing because nobody in this space knows who I am, but yet people have found me. And I really appreciate a lot of the guidance and what do I want to say? Advice I've been given. It's pretty neat to see. But there are some people with some really innovative ideas that are out there, and you're right. I mean, Kabuki was at the forefront of innovation. But when you let yourself get knocked off and ripped off, when you don't put the customer first, and I'm sorry, they never put the customer first. They never put the customer first. Allowing someone to wait 16 weeks for a bar is not putting the customer first. I'm sorry. So that happens when you believe the hype and you don't believe the competition. When you create something, you are going to have people knock you off, try to rip you off. And if you're asleep at the wheel and you're not situationally aware, you're dead. Jake, the second book I'm writing, I'm in the process. We're finishing now. It's called Code Yellow. It's a system I came up with. It's all about being situationally aware. Who, what, when, where, why, and how. And I always say, if you want to succeed in business, you need to know your competition better than the competition knows themselves. They didn't know the competition better than they knew themselves. They always thought that they were just so much better, and they probably were, but they weren't great at doing these other things that are required of a business to stand out and make it great. So, look, if a tree falls in a forest, Jake, okay, and there's nobody there to hear the tree fall, did the tree fall? I got 600, I got 500 transformers in stock, but no one's buying them. Do I have them in stock?
Interesting. I mean, I have a few things to say. I think, you mentioned there was a lot of competition, very clearly, lots of specialty bars. And I think like, you mentioned not wanting to move overseas. And I think, people want to support American. They want to support, the innovator. But when the price gap is so large, it's very hard to do so. I also have heard when I speak to a lot of people in this industry, if you're not innovating, you might as well just close up shop. So, I mean, I think about like I see multiple trap bars who are on version 4.
Yeah.
Um, so I think I definitely think I wouldn't say like there's no market for American specialty bars. I don't think other than Rogue anybody else is making American specialty bars. And I do think there's a market for it if it's reasonable,
Yeah.
if it's practical. What else was I going to say? I think it's very interesting to hear you kind of start talking about the people within this industry or the community. I would be very curious. You mentioned as a outsider, you never really probably even thought about the home gym industry or community. What has been your initial impression of people within this area of work, or even just the home gym owners or people
Oh
like
God,
that?
the ingenuity. I mean, every one of these guys that have their little home gyms, they're sort of like little mini entrepreneurs because when I look at these things online and I see what they built, and I'm like, damn, that's a good idea. And they all tweak their things in certain ways to make it work for them. And I'm gonna tell you, there are probably some really great ideas in these home gyms that need a home that that maybe can be produced. So maybe that's one of the things we'll do at our website is offer a portal where people can upload their ideas, and if they're good, we can do partnerships and uh, create products together. Because nobody knows the home gym market better than the person that has the home gym, right? So, I mean, how did when I built the wire company, I created these different products and innovation, and we had smart wire. I did that by talking to who? The people that use the product every day. We talked to them. What do you need? What are your constraints? What hurts you? Look, I understand how tight space is in the industry. Well, I learned right down the street there's a barbell company that's making barbells paper thin. Paper thin. It's what a great idea. And I spoke to this gentleman yesterday. It turns out he's 10 minutes from my office in Bolingbrook. So we're going to get together and see, hey, are there any synergies? Can we help each other? Are there things we can do? And I think you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah. I mean that's really cool to hear because there are quite a bit of just home gym owners who this is their main hobby. They're tweaking their stuff. They would love to partner with companies like you to help create them. So I mean it's kind of funny that you bring that up because it's something that a lot of companies are kind of starting to figure out. But yeah, cool. And that's how this interview got brought up. It was basically, an online friend of mine reached out and was like, "Hey, I've been posting about this bar." The new owner of Kabuki reached out and was just asking questions. Seems like he really was getting into the weeds. I think you should interview him. So yeah, that's how this came across. So and great to hear the story there was like I think a lot of people had no idea what happened. You hear about a
Over.
you
I bought the.
yeah.
Yeah, no. The only one that got taken over was me and my son. I mean, but our own look, we're big boys. We put on our big boy pants when you make investments, but it was not a hostile takeover. It was anything but. It was a loan gone bad, and I'm a bank, and when you don't pay the bank seizes their assets. And I mean, I hate to sound cold and cruel. I don't mean to be, but that's simply what it was. It was two individuals that made a promise to pay back a loan that had no means of paying back the loan, and therefore they lost the collateral. And it's not like we didn't. I mean, look, we were very extremely um, generous through the whole point where to the point where if this business would have performed, Chris could have owned the whole thing again. He could have owned the whole kit and caboodle. If we would have got some money back and a return, I was going to give him the keys. Here, have your company back. That was never going to happen. The company was not going to ever be profitable. Ever. So it's unfortunate, but they haven't been profitable, I don't think, since 2021, maybe. And I don't even know what they did in 2021. But
COVID.
yeah, COVID for sure. But it's a new day. We have product. I would love for the community, support us. You know, if they can, if they want to. I definitely think every one of these home gym guys need to have a squat saddle and a snap bar and some straps, because that will up your squatting game, for sure. So we're really excited about that product. Yeah, and we're going to make a new shoulder rock. So the shoulder rock is going to be made from aluminum, and we're going to have a really interesting way to load it. So it's going to be light, because the problem we say focus on everybody. I'm sure how many of these garage gym owners golf? A lot of them golf.
Probably, yeah.
You take that shoulder rock out to that golf course and you just perform a hand overhead swinging exercise, you will rip your drive. You will compress when you compress the ball. You get 3-4 yards on your drive. It's unbelievable. I took it out on a golf course and just gave it to some random, foursomes to try out, and they loved it. So we're also going to target the youth baseball with the shoulder rock, lacrosse, volleyball, any sport that uses the shoulder. It's an untapped market, so we're really excited with this aluminum version of the shoulder rock that we're going to be releasing. My guess is probably second quarter of next year. Hope maybe sooner. And then I'm working with a couple other idea guys to have their products at our storefront. So
Awesome.
So we're I think this is going to be good for the space. And again, if I'm making these bars, here's my promise. One, I do want to address the Transformer X, since you're giving me this platform. We have had some quality issues, not a lot, but enough. They are being addressed. If they weren't addressed last week, they're being addressed this week. There were broken knobs. We know what caused the knobs. The knobs weren't. They left the facility. They were great. The knobs broke in shipment. Everybody with broken knobs, they are getting all new knobs. Anybody with a loose camber, they're getting 2 new cambers. So those are being addressed this week, if not today or last week. I'm not sure, but everyone will be made whole with any quality issues they have on the bars. We stopped, as soon as we found out we had some issues, we stopped shipping. I think we have somewhere between maybe 100 and 125 additional bars we can ship. We are going through every box one by one to make sure the parts are right, the tools are in the box, that the product is worthy of shipping. If it's not, we're not shipping it. So I don't know when we'll be through that process. We may just do 5 at a time and ship 5, but we are going to get that bar back out. My number one priority is finding somebody in the short term that can produce the bar, highest quality. And it's a great bar. And Jake, I will try to get you out one if we can. Would love to.
Yeah.
And I'd love to get you out the saddle, and I'd love to get you out a prototype of the Bridge to the Gap bar, the snap bar.
Sounds good. Yeah, I'd love to check it out. All right. Well, interesting story. Look forward to following the next few months and then upcoming years as well. But anything else before we close this?
What advice, since you're part of this community, what advice, okay? What should I do? What can I do to get people comfortable? What does the market need? So I'm looking at you as not as Jake, the podcaster, but Jake, the consumer. What do you need from us?
Yeah, I think I mentioned as far as the bars, love the bars. Like, favorite bars I've ever used in general. I think if you could lower the price of those and get them within like a 20% range, 20% cost range of some of the import options.
Okay.
I and then a lot more other people would be more likely to support. I think the distribution of those bars, there's quite a bit of companies with reputable brands out there, and if you can partner with one of them, I think like there shouldn't be much of an issue
Okay.
as far as like people buying them, even though it's not like Chris Stuffin's company anymore. Um, as far as like, I think the I'm deep in the woods within this community. So like if I like when I heard that you are DMing average home I don't want to say average, but like home gym owners and asking them questions about their experience with the product or just like not ignoring them, that's a plus. And then so getting in the weeds, and then I think the idea behind partnering with people with good ideas in their home gyms and bringing them to life, especially from like an American made mindset, I think that will help as well. I think just like I would say lastly, I'm rambling, but like just showing that like long term like focus, like you're not going to just pump and dump this. I think that is that's important, just like long term focus, and like I want to make sure you're interested in this and you like doing it, and you're not going to just be gone in a year or so when you reap the initial investment back.
Yeah.
I would say that's the type of people that I would want to support, and I think most other people as well.
We'll only be gone if the market tells us to be gone.
Gotcha.
And I'll leave you with this. Let's do something interesting. When I do my podcast tour for my book, it's coming out. We're looks like a May release, down to the wire. Let's do a podcast on the book. I think people will get a kick out of the story because the story is remarkable. It's outlandish and it's crazy. There's the stories in this memoir will floor you.
Awesome. Yeah, let's do that, because I did kind of want to hear a little bit more about your early 20s.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sounds good. Cool.
All right. I really appreciate the forum, and I want to thank the community for supporting us, supporting our family, and our products. And look, I look forward to a long-term relationship with this community.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for taking the time. Thanks for being so transparent. I think that type of information is not only interesting, but it helps us understand the why as to why a company that a lot of people really did care about was changed pretty suddenly, at least from our eyes.
Yeah,
So
it did. No doubt, it did.
yeah,
So,
cool.
all right.
All right.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.